welcome back to the comic book and anime show. Basically, I'm just want to talk about some sad news today. This is Veterans Day, and I wanted to mention that by now many of you already heard Stan Lee died today at the age of 95. I actually had the opportunity to meet Stan Lee at a comic book convention once. Extraordinarily nice fella. I actually embarrassed myself in front of him because I was standing in line. Had a lot of comics, and I had one I wanted to sign. I actually flopped down a issue of Man of Steel #1. I flopped it down in front of him, and true to Stan Lee, he'd always telling jokes about it. He's like, "Hey, what are you trying to do here? I'm not signing this," and I went on, and I was like, I could feel myself turning 30 times red, just like in a cartoon, to whoop. And then he says, "Hey, hey, I'll sign that," or I was like, no, here's the one I want you to sign, and the whole thing was the whole time I got to meet him, because it was a long line. This is even back then. This is before, I'm gonna say this is a year before Image and all that broke out, before he did the Image videos with the Image guys, those comic book greats videos. I'm going to say it's a couple months before then, before the Image thing. It may have been a year before then. But it was about the same time that X-Men had launched, or had been launched for a couple of months. And because one of the issues I got him to sign, I remember, was Jim Lee X-Men #1, one of those interlocking cover things. And that's one of my favorite issues at this point, because I've actually got a signed Stan Lee, issue. And that's the only time I ever got to meet Stan Lee. Like I said, extraordinarily nice fella. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have a nice, story about Stan Lee. And he's created so many characters. He's created so many characters, he's probably forgotten about how many, characters he's created over time. He's many of you only know about some that you've seen in the Marvel movies. But the whole Marvel line is some way, somehow, directly, he had a hand in creating, whether it be editorial or actual writing, just him and Jack Kirby, they were monsters as far as creative talent. And Stan Lee would be sorely missed, it won't be the same without, I'm hoping in the Marvel movies they might, decide to add him up. By the way, that's him. He was served in World War II. Him and Jack Kirby both served in World War II. And this is a picture they had the day before Veterans Day. And then, we found out today he had passed. That's kind of sad. But yeah, that's Stan Lee from, I'm going to say, about the 70s, 80s maybe. Yep, dead at 95. He had a nice long life. He's went through a lot these last 2 years. His wife died, and I didn't know this until I seen on something that he had 2 daughters, but one had died, and they were twins, and there's one twin that has survived, and I'm gonna, her and I think Stan Lee, if I remember right on the news recently, they had a little bit of trouble with their lawyer or something. I forgot what exactly that guy was, and I think he went to jail because he was doing, there was a case of elderly abuse. It was basically abusing them so he could kill, I guess basically just kill them off and get their money, I guess. That's what I'd heard. I'm not really sure if that's entirely what happened, but judging by the fact that he, a lot of people got involved, I think that it was kind of what was happening. It may not have been that dramatic, but there was obviously some elderly abuse going on, and between his wife dying and all that going on, I think that may have took some, he might have lived a bit longer, but I'm sure that stress kind of weighed on him, and that's unfortunate, but still, he was a heck of a guy, and he outlived many of the comic book creators he worked with, I think except for John Romita, the majority of those guys, like John Buscema, Jack Kirby, and trying to think of some of the other ones. They're just, they were all older and they're all gone. Although Steve Ditko, he lived to be what, 92, died last year, I think, or the beginning of this year, I think. He was like 92, and that was the co-creator of Spider-Man, and like I said, it's just an amazing guy. I kind of feel sad, and like many people do, I'm sure a lot of people have many stories about this guy, and I'm just happy to see that a lot of people enjoyed Stan Lee, and like I said, there's so much. I literally could spend like all night looking up stuff. I guarantee if I went through this Twitter thing, yeah, you see like like all these like little strips that people have like put. Look at that. Some of it, that was awesome. The thing with Spider-Man. Yeah, I've been seeing a ton of things with Spider-Man, like Spider-Man looking down, like all sad, and yeah, it's just some of these were really cool. That's cool, but kind of sad at the same time. But it's just been a ton of like overwhelming this, people just really posting a lot of cool stuff. So just check out his some of like I said, there's a bunch of like the Spider-Man, and there's one. Well, that one, there was a lot of the replaying a lot of the his old Spider-Man. That's the one I thought was kind of cool. Anyway, just like I said, you can go look at these yourself. It's just, they're really cool. Like I said, playing a lot of clips and movies he's been in and telling a lot of stories. So it's really sad, but I used to love when he used to do Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. You'd hear his voice. I think that's the first time I ever heard his voice. I always read the comics, but then when I read, heard him on a cartoon, I was like, oh, that's Stan Lee, And I guess that's why I enjoy those cartoons, Those were kind of older. Those came out in the 80s, but, when I was younger, I loved those. And I think they syndicated them a little bit in the 90s, it seems like. And anyway, that's enough on Stan Lee. It's sad, but, he'll be sorely missed. And I don't think the Marvel movies are going to be the same without him. But anyway, that's all for this episode. I'll catch y'all next time. Catch you later.